Hello and welcome to Encore. From the horror-inducing world of high fashion to quirky black and white shorts by way of an unassuming superhero, it's all coming up on today's film show.
She was right. I am dangerous.
It's gonna be fun.
Well, for all of that, I'm joined by Lisa Nesselson, our film critic. Hello, Lisa.
Hello, Olivia.
We're starting with a film directed by Nicolas Winding Refn. He made a name for himself with Drive about 5 years ago, and his latest film, The Neon Demon, was in competition at Cannes last month. It's a gory take on the fashion industry, and I heard that it was a sort of love-hate reaction at the festival. What camp would you put yourself in?
Ooh, I'm not sure this film was necessary. I mean, it exists. Some people love it to pieces. I just didn't really respond to it one way or the other. It may have neon in the title. I'm not sure it was such a bright idea. It's glossy. It displays Winding Refn's gift, shall we say, for deadpan humor, but I think it thinks it's way more tantalizing than it actually is. So willowy, incredibly gifted Elle Fanning is only 18 years old. She's already appeared in some 25 films, and as far as I know, she's been very, very good in all of them. Here she plays Jessie, a fresh-faced orphan from the American heartland, who's arriving in Los Angeles to seek work as a model, and she checks into a sleazy motel managed by Keanu Reeves, and she makes the acquaintance of some more established models whose IQs seem to correspond to, say, their waist size in inches, and have never met a plastic surgery procedure that they didn't like. Jessie also meets a female makeup artist, Ruby, who applies her talents to the living and also to the dead because she moonlights at the morgue making up cadavers. If that sounds a little unsavory, it is. Let's take a look at the moment when Jessie and Ruby get acquainted.
Do you have a name, or you want me to guess?
Jessie.
Jessie. Can you just get to LA, Jessie?
How'd you know?
You've got that look. Oh, don't worry, honey. That whole deer in the headlights thing is exactly what they want.
So I think we can say you were a little underwhelmed by this film.
I'm going to be firmer in my opinions now. It's stylish, but it's basically in the service of idiocy. I think everybody kind of knows that fashion is a multi-zillion-dollar business built in great part on glossy nonsense, competitive glossy nonsense. And I did like one dialogue exchange, though. There's two models talking, and one says, "Oh my God, I mean, this business, you're like totally washed up at 21." And the other one corrects her and says, 20. But I'm glad Winding Refn made this movie, and I'll tell you why, because it gives me an anecdote to tell, a true one. My husband Glenn is a film historian, but he moonlights as a cameraman, and that's why he was in the gallery in the press room at Cannes for the press conference for The Neon Demon. And he hadn't actually seen the film for himself, but based on what he'd heard as he was rolling up his gear, he mentioned to the camerawoman next to him, "Wow, people seem really divided on this one." And she looked right at him and said, "It's a masterpiece. It is the future of cinema." And he thought, "Oh, okay." One of the other cameramen said to Glenn, "Do you know who you were just talking to?" And he said, "No, but she has a really strong opinion. She really likes the movie." And he says, "Well, that's because that's Nicolas Winding Refn's mother." And Glenn said, "Oh, come on, you've got to be kidding." And a Spanish woman pulled out a sheet of paper and said, "No, it's true. I had lunch with her yesterday, and she wrote down her email for me." So she's a professional cinematographer. I am all in favor of moms supporting their son's work. And The Neon Demon is out in the U.S. Not until June 24th. So we have it here first.
Okay, so that's definitely one positive review that he'll be getting for his film. Also out this week in France, a film set in contemporary New Orleans. It's called American Hero, but in fact it's actually directed by an Englishman. What did you think of it, Lisa?
I think for an Englishman, he did an extraordinary job of capturing a sense of time and place and very, very rot-gut American characters. Now, I have to admit, I found the poster for this movie kind of annoying, so I wasn't really looking forward to it, but I think it's a modest little gem. The handheld camera work does get a little tiresome after a while, but it has seamlessly incorporated special effects that just marvelously move the story along. So Stephen Dorff plays Melvin, who you could never accuse of being an ambitious ambitious guy. He drinks a lot, he gets stoned a lot, he still lives with his supportive mom, and he has an inexplicable ability that makes him sort of an anti-hero superhero. All he has to do is point his finger or cup the palm of his hand, and, well, let's take a look.
The kitchen furniture's moved. You're doing. Please, can you put it back?
Yeah, Mom, I'm playing the piano here.
Please put the table and chairs back where they belong. You know I don't like you touching my stuff.
Coming.
Thank you. And the lamp. What is up with you?
When you think about the components this film is made out of, it shouldn't work, but it absolutely does because the performances are so sincere, and Dorff's incorrigible slacker has a best friend with the improbable name of Lucille, who's a man in a wheelchair, a military veteran, played by Eddie Griffin, who is absolutely stupendous in his role. Nick Love, who also wrote the screenplay, he's pulled off a small but very pleasing film. Seek it out.
So a sort of lo-fi hero there. Well, we're moving now to Italy. There's a bittersweet comedy out this week that got a very warm reception at Cannes. It's called Like Crazy, and it stars Valeria Bruni Tedeschi. Tell us more.
Well, oddly enough, Like Crazy is another film that absolutely shouldn't work, but does. It depicts the lopsided, but I'd say strangely beneficial friendship between two Italian women from absolutely opposite ends of the socioeconomic spectrum. They find themselves playing hooky from a rather congenial halfway house for people with mental illnesses, and it's a jaunty story about mental illness, which you don't get every day. It's a superb showcase for its two lead actresses, and it's crowd-pleasing, even though there are tragic circumstances. They're always sort of made up for by help from unexpected quarters. I think its freewheeling energy is as appealing as its developments are unpredictable. Let us take a look.
Beatrice, lo sai che non possiamo farti uscire. Sei sottoposta a misure giudiziarie restrittive.
Ho detto di non toccarmi, ho capito che cerca di farmi la corte, ma non mi tocchi.
Bisogna che tu impari a relazionarti con le altre ospiti.
Chi è? Una nuova, sono una nuova. Tentativo di suicidio in detenzione?
Te un po' di cazzi tuoi mai.
Mi scusi, a lei la dottoressa?
Beatrice, porca Ernie.
Sto socializzando
No, si
qui.
sta impicciando. Avanti, per cortesia.
Now, Lisa, that actress, Valeria Bruni Tedeschi, she's Franco-Italian, and she's someone who gets a kind of mixed reaction here in France when she's behind the camera or on screen. What did you think of her in this role?
That's true. I'm way more of a fan of her as an actress than as a director, although I admire any woman who makes movies. But this role is absolutely tailor-made for her talents. She's an alleged countess whose great-aunt owned the villa where she's now under house arrest. And Valeria Bruni Tedeschi's seemingly innate flightiness plus her patrician bearing are absolutely perfect for Beatrice, this melancholy wacko with a sense of entitlement as big as the Ritz. And it's safe to say that nobody else at this villa has a closet full of designer clothes or George Clooney on speed dial. So when this young woman who's kind of lost and tattooed and in trouble comes, she sort of takes her under her wing, and when she exposes the underside of her upper arm, she says, you know, if you want to write something down, get a notebook. You don't have to tattoo it. I think we need more wisecracks about tattoos. This is a start. And the two of them run off from the place together and have adventures, and everything points to an unhappy ending, and yet narratively, genuinely, that's not where things are headed.
Okay, so a heartwarming tale dealing with some difficult subject matter. We're moving to a political hot potato now. That's immigration. Now, France, of course, is a destination, has been a destination for centuries for people, long-term, short-term, and the film industry has been somewhere where a lot of international exchange has happened, and that is never more apparent than this. And at this event, Les Nuits en Or, this is a positive initiative?
Absolutely. You know, there's a lot of cruelty and misguided selfishness in the world, which is why I love this incredibly generous antidote that the French Académie des Césars has been offering filmmakers since 2006, Les Nuits en Or. Now, everybody knows what an Oscar is. People don't give much thought to the fact that you can win one for making a short film. And the Academy of Césars, whose members vote for the Césars, so the French Big Film Awards, they invite the directors of 33 3 short films that have won the equivalent of a César in their respective country, and they come to Paris to show them to the general public, absolutely free of charge. This year it's being held on June 13th, 14th, and 15th at the UGC Cité Ciné Bercy Cinemas. If you attend all of the programs, that's 11 hours of what various people have decided are the very best short films on the planet at the moment. So that's a gift to filmgoers. But the super generous thing is that for 11 days, the Academy invites those directors from 31 countries working in 19 languages to visit European capital cities. This year, Athens, Rome, and Paris. And they get assigned to an accomplished French person who works in cinema, and they are taken under their wing. So highlights from this complete collection have been touring 23 cities across France. What warms my heart is that France is reaching out to predominantly young talent from all over the world and saying, show us your films and we'll show you a good time. That includes a gala at UNESCO, and that goes to show something I absolutely believe in, that cinema can create closer connections between people across cultures. By the way, for trivia nights, in South Korea, the trophy is called a Blue Dragon. In Belgium, you get a Magritte. In Burkina Faso, it's the Ama. In Norway, you get an Amanda. And that brings us to Australia, where you get an ACTA. And the 2015 ACTA for Best Animated Short went to master stop-action animator Adam Elliott for Ernie, Biscuit.
That sounds like a fantastic way to kind of promote international exchange and young filmmaking. Indeed. Well, we'll leave you with a clip of the delightfully titled Ernie, Biscuit from Australia. Thank you, Lisa, for being with us in the studio today. Remember to check out our website. Encore's also on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. There's more news coming up on France 24 after this.
The debate.
Use social media to make your voice heard. Comment on the day's events. Feed into the discussion before it even gets started. Or ask your questions live on air. And continue the debate after the show is over by sharing your views on our forums. France 24, for a more direct approach to the news.
The debate on France 24 and France24.com.